Hello, welcome to Front Runner. Today we have Mark Obatake. He's the Executive Director for Hawaii Centers on Independent Living. Thank you for being with us, Mark.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Now,
I'll
Mark,
slip in and say welcome too, friend.
Yeah, hi Jim. Morning.
Mark, you grew up in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Hawaii.
Uh-huh. Can you tell us a little about your childhood as a person with a disability and as someone who grew up in Hawaii? You've seen a gamut of things, I think.
Yeah, moving from downtown Kukui Street to Kalihi and then to Kaneohe. I was born with a congenital condition called spinal muscular atrophy, which basically translates into the individual having weak muscles and it being a progressive disability, so you get weaker and weaker as you grow up. I remember being in braces and kind of like in crutches, walking around with long leg braces, these things that look like armor, you know, look like a knight, although it wasn't that shiny. And playing ball with my mom and doing those kinds of things, going to Shriners Hospital early on, and you know, having a lot of doctors checking up on me and things like that. So that's my earliest reference for my childhood. And then getting into special education, self-contained classes at Pohukaina down in the Kaka'ako area, you know, and remember showing up in kindergarten with maybe 6 other students, all who had disabilities, and we were in this one classroom, and my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Yoshimasu, teaching us about reading and writing, and I just remember learning about reading through The Red Ball and The Boy and the Dog, and that was my first book, you know.
It sounds very much like my first book.
Yeah, and kind of amazing because my understanding now, looking back, is that none of the teachers had what we call special education training. They were just teachers who knew about academics and who had a real heart for teaching kids with disabilities, you know. And so that was what I recall growing up.
Mark, I'm fascinated with the concept of role modeling and mentoring as well. And looking back on your childhood, who were people that made a major kind of memory stamp on you?
Well, definitely my teachers, first of all, in terms of the things that they taught us and the things that they helped us to understand. But as I grew up, other individuals that came into my life were like scouting, scoutmaster, going out. I remember going out on our first camping expedition. It wasn't any place other than the schoolyard, but we went overnight, you know, and we had to pitch tents, and we had to sleep in them, and we had to cook out, and you know, doing merit badges and things like that. That was the first time that, you know, we got into things that other kids started to do. And then along came a physical therapist who taught us how to do wheelchair football. And I remember getting in my first game in a wheelchair and playing football with a whole bunch of other guys who were in wheelchair, and it was a blast. We would play on a basketball court, and you know, the same rules applied. Although tackling meant that we'd have to stop the wheelchair code for about a 3-second count. That means a lot of spokes got bent, you know, as we kind of drove into the wheels.
Not good, Mark.
Not good, but it was a lot of fun, and the competition was really keen. You know, people got really excited and really wanted to win.
You know, sometimes I was thinking when you said that, kids with physical disabilities, sometimes people think that you're supposed to just sort of treat them like with kid gloves. And Brandon Polito, one of my good friends, little kind of physically small guy, loves wrestling more than anything.
Yeah, and I mean, we had one of my best friends had a bone disease that made his bones very brittle, and he was one of the fastest guys on our teams, you know. But we took one of these like small coffee tables, you know, these small benches, and we put it so that it would adhere to his footrest, and it would be a box in front of his legs. And he was like devastating on this thing. Like, we would try to not get our hands smashed, you know. He would come into us with the box, you know. And
You're all in manual wheelchairs?
all in manual wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got a power wheelchair?
Well, my first power wheelchair actually occurred when I was in college. So it was very
Wow.
late. The technology wasn't there yet,
Yeah.
you know. So it was very late on, and actually I didn't transition out of special ed until my senior year in high school. And then I was able to go to Kaimuki. Kaimuki had the only elevator in a high school, so access was there. And then they got the Key Club members to push me from class to class because my muscles at that time were kind of very weak, and I couldn't, you know, go from class to class on my own. And then I remember the vice principal at Jefferson Orthopedic School, elementary school, where they still had some of the high school classes there. The vice principal got a PUC license in order to drive me back from Kaimuki High School in order for me to get my physical therapy every day. So,
Incredible.
yeah, just incredible about how individuals came along and
Make
you
a
know,
difference,
Make
don't
a
they?
difference. That's right.
Now you grow up, and you got a beautiful family.
Sure,
Can we just leap to family for a minute?
sure.
Tell us about your
The
family.
proud father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my wife is a beautiful person, very caring, very supportive of things that we do. And we have two sons, David, who is 9 now, almost going to be 10, and Andrew, who just made 6. And so, you know, parenting was really an interesting concept. When, first of all, getting married was an interesting concept because, you know, throughout my high school, never dated. In college, it was very difficult getting a date. I mean, you know, you would ask somebody and a lot of, you know, comments or answers would come back. Oh, I'm going out. I'm sorry I can't make it. Oh, I'm on a trip. And after a while, you know, you keep hearing these
I got a lot of that too,
excuses.
Mark.
Yeah. So it was really difficult. And then what was kind of difficult too was sometimes getting into a you know, relationship with a girlfriend and stuff, and then having parents say things about, you know, like, I don't think this is going to work out, you know, and then they start talking about your disability. So it was really frustrating. But, you know, I did find somebody, and she has a great family and very supportive. And now we have 2 kids. And, you know, thinking about kids was very, very scary because I knew I couldn't lift them as a baby. And so the aspect of wondering whether bonding would occur, whether they would feel close to me, you know, all those things. But, you know, you just figure out a way to do things, and kids are really resilient. You know, I remember saying, okay, I'll feed David, you know, give me his bottle. And we rigged like a comforter thing on the dining room table so I could pull up and his head could be, you know, in my arms. And I just gave him the bottle, and I was really close to him. He was against my body, and I didn't have to worry about dropping him, you know. So you kind of just...
Now, haven't I seen kids in your lap as you drive your chair?
Yeah.
Aren't I hearing that are you coaching or working with a team now?
Well, not coaching, but I mean, we're real supportive. My sons, Andrew's in t-ball. Both of them are in soccer. You know, David is a Weeblo scout, and Andrew just got into Tiger Cubs, you know.
Aren't they doing Aikido?
And yeah, well, my oldest one is in Aikido, and Andrew will soon be joining him. So, I mean, yeah, they're into all sorts of different activities. And
Yes, boys.
yeah, let me tell you about, well, we won't go there.
Actually, given the length of this interview, we won't.
Yeah.
Can I go to another one for a couple that I just hope are going to come out in the next
Sure.
2 minutes here? Transportation. Every time I invite anyone in a wheelchair to a function, I always try to be respectful about the transportation issue. How did you get here today?
Well, I came here on a new taxi cab service. There's a taxi cab company in town who just bought 2 new accessible vehicles, and so, you know, found out about them, and
And they're
came over
truly
here.
cabs. They're not
Cabs.
wheelchair vans or any of this stuff.
No.
They're a cab that
Cab.
happens to have a ramp.
So
Right.
they charge you regular taxi rates.
Right.
Now, this is way cool.
Oh, I like that.
Way cool.
Really?
And then I also, since this is a technology program, I know technology means a lot to you, and
Oh,
you've
yeah.
helped many people get equipment, and you use computers. And can you just comment on the role technology plays in your life?
Well, the motorized wheelchair is the first technology, and it's the most vital piece of my life because I go all over the place. Do my meetings, I do social events. You know, you got to get over those grass terrains, going to the soccer fields, and you know, without this, I think I'd be stranded. And then definitely, computer technology has really enhanced my capabilities to do the work I do, whether it's writing grants or it's organizing activities or projects. You know, the voice recognition technology, the newer and faster computer chip technology that we have today has just equalized a lot of the things that normally we wouldn't be able to do because it just speeds things up a little bit faster. You know.
I know that you also mentor or bring along other people, young people, to teach them how to make their way in the world. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's really important for us to pass on the experiences that we all have. You know, we're all not going to be around forever, and so we really have an opportunity to be able to be a part of the bowl, so to speak, that shoots arrows into the future. And the arrows are really the young people, you know, my sons and others. So.
You know, on that note, I totally agree. I think we all do. Maybe it's a responsibility as we get older to start allowing and inviting youth to give us energy and also to learn what little we've got to give back. Thanks a million, friend.
Thank you,
Really
Mark.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're a role model in my book.